in my experience of the visions and the flashes of the life of other enlightened beings, basically once they became fully enlightened, they were distracted, I would say, as a lack of a better word again, from their practices on a more constant level, a more constant, more fluent amount of time to spend on their practice, because the ones that tried to teach it are coming out of that whole enlightenment to come back to that awakened master, enlightened master type of being, to explain it from their point of location, from their point of personal conference, or whatever you want to say, that their consciousness is there in that point of location as that person that they're speaking through. So whenever those enlightened masters became enlightened and started to teach it, they come out of it. So myself, the less I have time to meditate or quiet my mind or do any of the practices that I do, breathing exercises, yoga, driving quietly, even just breathing while I'm wide awake. Like, I can do it now anytime, when I'm sleeping, when I'm awake, anytime. But I don't do it around people because they think I'm weird and they look at me like I'm a goofball, and I lose people from doing it around me. Maybe it's because I feel odd when they see me, and somewhere in me believes that they think it's weird. So I think that, well, I know that they think it's weird. So therefore, my belief system really needs to change in that. And it's really hard to think that other people don't think you're weird when they look at you like you are. But I have to be so confident in myself that it changes that. And over time, that'll happen. So that does happen to some people. Let's say, like, any guru that's out there preaching or speaking right now, or any motivational speaker that's speaking right now, they have more time to stay with their practices than an enlightened person. But say an enlightened person has to explain consciousness, or trying to explain consciousness to people. Doesn't have to. But people ask them all kinds of questions that take them out of what's really important. Talking about sex, or if you should have abortions, and it seems all important. It all seems so real and so magnificent, and, mean if you don't do it, or mean if you do it, or anything like that. Like, every subject has its own personal feelings related to it, but it's how we learn from stuff. It's so deep that it's crazy. It's so deep, like more than I thought at first when I even experienced it. But the more it's in letting me interpret it through time, when I have time to tap back into it, to at least get messages down, to keep elaborating more and more and more. I experienced them all. Like, whatever has been and whatever will ever be, I've already experienced. So in order for me to do it in this time sense, I have to first at least get a message transmission from it, and have the time to speak it, or write it, or say it, or act it out, or anything. Because all those things are there. And everything I say and do now is a manifestation of that. But then my personality gets involved when people put me down, or everyone around me is crabby, and it's hard to stay like, oh, loving. It really is hard to stay like that when people are grumpy, but it's getting easier and easier without having to interact. I just put my headphones on, and I crank them up, and I listen to beautiful music, and I just keep in that place where I'm feeling love in my heart. No matter what it takes to keep my love in my heart, I think of those things. And the more you have love in your heart, the more you know that you're in control of that, the more you know that you're in control of what you create, and the more it actually happens, and the more you can tap into different realms once you start studying those things. Like, it's all belief and it's all practice. So I'm not sure exactly what the meaning I meant to say, but there's so much stuff for me to say. It's too much. But right now, all I know is that I'm having less of these magnificent mystical experiences, because now I understand it, and even those things are creations in my mind in order for me to understand them. Like, every time I've experienced something as an enlightened being, like, I did experience the crucifixion of Christ. I did experience, like, the whole Waco, Texas thing. I did do all kinds of crazy things in mystical worlds and fairy tale worlds and the dream worlds and astral worlds, and just so many things that people wouldn't even think of and wouldn't even imagine, because their minds aren't open like that. They're very one-track minded, or just at a time they have very limited space in their mind to allow new things, because they're very closed-minded. But I am totally open in the mind, totally open in the heart, but I'm still not totally open in my defenses, because I don't want people to put me down or make fun of anybody I know, or have my own family think I'm crazy. I mean, that kind of stuff does bother somebody, and I'm getting over it little by little, because I know that I'm not crazy. So that's the point, is that when when I can't believe that they don't believe I'm not crazy, that's where it comes into play. So, I mean, I know that's starting to make sense, but I'm working on it every day, every moment, because it's my responsibility now.